multiple classes a week, not just with Tom, but with other coaches and even players from elite leagues, Major League Baseball, the NFL. We work with pitchers, quarterbacks, and even some golfers. We have a VOD library with over 100 classes in it, and we have more planned upgrades coming soon. So those are that is really what happens when you subscribe here to In the Kitchen. You get this full experience, not just of Tom, but a whole plethora of coaches, players from all levels, and really incredible expertise just across the spectrum.
Word of the day, plethora. Good for you. You must have gone to Stanford or something.
Well, I was almost able to go to USC,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Plethora works whether you're in Stanford or LA. No big deal.
and as I Tom, as you say, we like any rotational athlete here at Mustard.
Yes.
And to anyone who wants their mechanics analyzed here on these calls with Tom, either tonight or in the future, you can subscribe at in-the-kitchen.teammstrd.com.
Sounds good.
Woo. So Tom, we were talking earlier this week and a little bit last week, and really the last many years, about warming up. And I think I have gotten into it before with people who, I'll say, well, once you're warm, you're ready to go at 100%. And that's because I've gone through your warm up. And some people will say, well, no, once you've warmed up, then you got to start throwing. And then, once you're 10, 15 minutes into throwing, then you're going to be going 100%. And can you talk about, I guess, what people thought warming up was 10, 20, 30 years ago, and what you have seen and what you have been doing for warming up to throw, I'd say for the last 10, 15 years?
Actually, more than that. We just didn't really ID it properly. But in the big picture, you warm up to loosen up to do your activity. More recently, we differentiate ourselves in the way we get ready is we train to throw. We don't throw to train. So I don't know if you remember when you were a little leaguer, but when I was a little leaguer, when we got to the field, we just got a ball and started playing catch with our buddy. That was the way we warmed up to playing games. Well, now we know if a little leaguer does that, if he literally starts throwing, even at 10 years old, before he's got his core temperature elevated a little bit, that will be harder on his arm than if he overpitches off the mound. So the idea is you want to elevate your core temperature, and then specific to what you're going to be doing that day, throwing or swinging, you go through the loosening up process with cross-specific drills to allow yourself core temperature elevation, allow joints, muscles, and connective tissue to get warmed up and loosened up so you can actually go to your activity, which might be pitching or hitting on a given day.
And I think also a big part of warming up too is with you weighted balls. And I think that by the time you actually go to and you end up going to pick up the baseball, you've typically done, I off the top of my head, is it like 80 motions? Like you've done like how many throws or attempts?
If you go through our block,
Yeah.
right. Say you just do speed towels, you go through weighted balls. Just those two things alone will be 50 to 75 throwing repetitions. You haven't even touched the baseball to play catch. So the bottom line is you want to make sure everything in your body has been warmed up, asked to talk to a nerve, talk to a muscle, specific to the range of motion you're going to use on a pitching or hitting day.
Yeah. I love that, and I think that I mean, I know that it changed the way that I do even the way I go and exercise today. Once you've warmed up in that way, it's impossible to go back. And I think that's one of the big things that we can now communicate with great content and great technology now is how to run a full warm-up process
Yes.
like we do with mustard.
In effect, you wake up the nervous system to wake up the muscular system. When they're talking to each other, then you can start working on skill and move to competition.
Yeah. So one thing that we have here that we want to go over about what is happening with the Mustard app today is we actually have a new feature. We have recommended workouts within the app, which is very cool. And I want to just show a quick video of it before we get into mechanical instruction. And I will show that now, and then we will move on to our mechanics. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, so this is, I'm going to share the sound here. And you can see, there you go.
Okay, so we have a report card, and based on what the report card says, we're actually going to have some drills. Okay, good. Look at us being smart. How cool is this?
Look at this. You get a full plan, all based around your exact mechanical analysis, inefficiencies. And look at you.
It's personally adaptive. Based on your report card, the program will recommend in your block training what you need to go through to not only get you warmed up, but get you improved with your nerves and your muscles, talking to each other for skill.
And Tom, as a coach, when you get feedback, when players come and work with you, I think a big thing that they talk about is, what do I do? You know, how do I stay on routine? What do I do now that I'm on my own? Which so many pitchers actually are kind of on their own, whether, you know, their coaches know it or not, that a player could feel like they're on their own. And this gives them the template, and not just a template, but the plan to execute on a daily basis.
Exactly. The plan is part of your process.
Yeah.
And you should not be totally coach dependent. You kind of have to take ownership for the things that you have to fix. And it's called cross specificity. When the Mustard app comes back and gives you a report card on the variables that you need to fix, each one of the drills are specific to what you need to do, personalized, to improve the way your nerves and muscles talk, and then when you put them together, to improve your skill. So the idea is there's three kinds of training. There's block training, random training, and deep training. And if you can train on your own and have it be specific to your needs to have better skill, to compete more efficiently, you will learn more from deep training than any other training that you do. And deep training is when you take charge. It would be like my generation. We threw a tennis ball against a garage door. Well, now we have the towels, we have the weighted balls, we have all kinds of tools to go with just plain body work to allow you to work on, again, on the skill required for you to get better between the lines.
I think that's huge. I wish I had that when I was playing.
Me too.
I would, anything that we would do, I would just write it down on a Google Doc.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of try to tweak it, but it wasn't adapting based off of what I was doing. It was just me guessing.
Yeah, but remember, you hit the crease between what amounted to be old school, which was me, and new school is where we are now with the technology. We couldn't have done this when you first started coming to me at what, age 10? I can't remember how. It feels like feels like 100 years, but it was a long time ago. And that just goes to show we're still talking and we're still trying to get better. But how many more tools do we have to work with than way back when?
A ton more. It's crazy. And I think that I just think that there are also so many tools that can tell you so many results. And I like that with Mustard, there's process, like there's It's not just like, here's what you did. It's also, here's how you can affect change.
Yeah, hold that thought real quick because that's the differentiating factor. If you're a coach, a parent, or an athlete, there's a lot of people that can measure and quantify. But once you have those numbers, once you have those analytics, you have something the athlete can do on his own to actually improve those numbers. And that's, I honestly believe that we scale that better than any other option that's out there right now.
I agree. All right. Are we ready to do a little mechanical analysis?
I am. I don't know if anybody else is. This is their chance to run.
This is it. This is the moment. Okay. All right. So our first video here is from Ryan Altman. Ryan has been training with us. I think he was a part of the original Mustard beta.
Way back when.
Yeah, way back when. And Ryan is stuck with us. And his dad. And yeah. Here we go. Here's the video for Ryan. Do you see this here?
I see it. No, do we have Ryan and his dad or just Ryan?
Let me make sure to see. I do not believe we have them today, but they are on our call sheet today.
All right, we'll just evaluate, and they can check this at a later time if they need to.
Absolutely.
We'll start like we always do. We look at set position first. It only takes one repetition. Hold it right there.
Yeah.
So you can see he's been with us a while. I'll go through my checklist, and if I forget anything, let me know, Jordan. We got big toe to arch, got knees bent equally, attaboy, the magic red lines, hands in the middle of the eyes, eyes level, shoulders lined up with big toes. Now, I'm going to guess that when he initiates movement, he's going to get into his energy angle very efficiently. I don't think his head's going to go up and down that much. I don't think his head's going to go back. And I'm going to guess this is a real boring delivery. In fact, I'm a little worried that he may even stride off the end of the mound here. It looks like about a 6-foot mound. So he's going to land pretty close to the end of the mound. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Okay, that's actually pretty solid. His head moved a little, but not so it's not gonna affect anything as it goes down the mountain. Now watch. As soon as he starts lifting his leg, he gets his butt going toward home plate, gets the energy angle. Watch him into foot strike. Can you stop him when his front foot hits? And let's check out his opposite and equal. All right, that's actually pretty good. His glove, let's see, can you put a circle or a box around his glove?
Yeah.
And let's see if he leaves it there. And it's a little hard to see, but he's got an inside route with his throwing arm, which is his angle of forearm to elbow is less than 90 degrees. It looks like he's got the same thing with his glove side. Let's see if he can square his shoulders up, get into a stack and track without that glove moving. So everything is perpendicular to home plate. Hold it right there. Okay, so his glove did drop, but he hasn't lost distance. In a perfect world, his glove would be a little higher. You never want to give up distance. He didn't give up distance. But when I say a glove got soft, it dropped a little bit. If he could have kept his glove, if he can keep his glove a little higher in that same area code, he will be much more efficient translating all the energy from feet to fingertips that he generates coming down the mountain. His eyes are level. As he gets into release point, let's see if his release point is out in front of his landing foot big toe. Should be 8 to 12 inches in front of his landing foot big toe. Yeah, well, you've got the glove circled right now. In a perfect world, that's where it would stay all the way through release point. So we've got two views. We've got the front view on the left and the side view on the right. Can you see how his glove, the distance was all right, but it's kind of dropping, and see how it pulls his head a little bit to the left? It's not bad. I'm really being a tough guy here. His release point is about where it should be. His back foot is still on the ground, basically the rudder on the boat that he calls his body. His eyes are level. If I had to really, really be a tough guy, I couldn't give him a passing grade on swivel and stabilize with his glove, and I'm not going to bang on him hard about where his head is. His eyes are relatively level. He's got everything behind the ball. This is a pretty solid delivery, except for the glove. And if you went to the drills to fix it, we've got the core drill. We've got 2 or 3 drills that you can do to reinforce the stability of that glove. Otherwise, the rest of his delivery is a little boring. Does it show anywhere what the timing is? Does he get into foot strike in 1 second or less?
We do have Ryan's report cards here. Give me one moment, please.
But his back toe is on the ground, middle rubber to middle home plate. Everything in his body is squared up to home plate at release point. Again, the only complaint, his glove should still be in the red circle, not the green circle.
Look at this. We're sharing 4 screens here. All right.
So is foot strike in 1.11 seconds? Is that is, or is that 2 release points?
Here's his side. This is his side. This one right here is his side report card.
Okay.
And then this one here is his front report card.
Okay, so it looks like the ball's coming out of his hand at 1.24. That's good. The head is slightly offline. 15 degrees is the outer limit of the head, and it's stable. So we'll give him that. Glove outside body is we can't give him that. It's a little too low, and it's outside his left knee, outside his torso. So he's got to work on that. Stack and track, 22 degrees. I think the computer's really being hard on him. His stack and track, he's got to be what, 13 or 14 now? Do we know how old he is?
I think he's 14, yeah.
Yeah, for a 14-year-old, this is pretty darn good. It doesn't mean we can't try to be perfect with our drills, but if he can take what he did right there into competition, it's pretty solid. And again, I think that's a 6-foot mound. He should be striding at least 6 of his feet. So if anything, he might be a little short in his stride length. Do we have that measured at all? How far his stride actually is? We got timing, but I'll tell you what. The only thing I'd ask this young man to do is fix his glove.
Well, and Tom, I had one question. You see this a lot with players. You can see here in his set position, his head does move back a tiny bit. Here, he kind of repositions his posture and his lower half.
Okay, so you're really being a tough guy. Okay, tell him when he.
I'm only bringing it up but just because there are other players that maybe are struggling with something similar that aren't as pronounced. And I just want to highlight even a small.
So work your magic. You tell me how much his knee should be bent or not. And it looks to me like his weight is evenly distributed, but for his head to move like it did. Now, let me qualify this. If he's initiated his movement toward home plate, I don't care if the head moves down as he goes forward, but it can't go up and down or back or to the side if he stays over the rubber. So I think he's moving. His energy angle is working pretty good. He's on the move when his head drops. But let's go ahead and work your magic with how much his knee is bent. And that's how much it should be bent. And if he started over in his stretch position, and you tell him about subconscious. What do you know about the subconscious brain right here?
Yeah, so this is the position that his subconscious has decided is the fastest way to move to home plate. This is the position his body is getting into to get moving as quickly as possible.
If he
And
was
so
throwing a rock and a rabbit to eat, that's probably the posture he would be in.
exactly, this is instinct. And so for as coaches and parents and players, what you want to be doing is looking for this position that his body naturally wants to be in and making it a central part of not just this moment in the delivery, but all of those moments, especially the set position. And so what we can do is we can take this moment, this position, and we can set it as the set position, allowing him to be in this position from point zero, and then it saves him time, distance, an angle as he moves down the mound.
So in the simplest way to say what Jordan just said, his head dropping at what, about 3 inches, do you think?
Mm-hmm.
If he would bend his both knees to the angle that his right knee is at and equally distribute his weight, he would not lose 3 inches going down before he started forward. He would add it to his stride length. So instead of having his stride be 90% of his body height, it would be about 94, 95% of his body height. So if both knees had the same angle of that green line that Jordan just drew in, then he would get into foot strike further and faster in the same time frame.
Boom. That was my only other thing I wanted to
Yeah, you're treating it like it's a big league World Series game, which we should try to teach perfect and work backwards from there. But for a 14-year-old, let me talk about a couple more things.
Yeah.
If the head moves after foot strike, it's a strength issue. If the head moves before foot strike, it's a mechanical issue. And what Jordan brought up, if you fix the position that we call the set position to where everything is in place, like we just said, big toe to arch, knees bent equally, weight distributed equally, shoulders matched up with toes, eyes level, hands right in front of center of gravity. At the millisecond he starts to lift, if he can get his energy angle going and get his body moving as fast as he can, the rest of the delivery is going to take pretty much care of itself. And the one thing that might help him with his glove, if he could hang on to his torque a little longer, and again, torque retention is something we measure, but he's actually pretty good. If you look at his T-shirt and the ball on the left when he's facing us, you kind of see how his T-shirt is like it's got air in it. It's glossed out toward home plate. He's done a pretty good job getting his energy going toward home plate.
I think Ryan and Evan have joined us. Do you guys have any questions here?
No, I don't. We just kind of hopped on. They're in the car. I'm leaving practice right now.
All right. You've been with us for a while, haven't you?
Yeah.
All right. How much weight? How much have you grown, and how much weight have you gained in the last 6 months?
6 months, probably like half an inch, maybe more, and then a few pounds.
Yeah, probably about an inch and maybe 20 pounds.
20.
All right. So he's actually doing
10, whatever.
pretty good job. Are you a freshman or a sophomore in high school?
I'm going to be a freshman.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard the whole criticism that Jordan and I have thrown your way. It's kind of a boring delivery. I think you're doing a good job. But yeah, Jordan wants to really beat you guys up, so I'm jumping up that bandwagon, okay? So you need to firm your glove up and keep it inside the width of your body, inside your left knee, and that will give your total body better vectors, better direction to home plate. But what's good about this delivery, look where your back toe is. It's on the ground. You're cutting the center line between middle rubber to middle home plate lines up perfectly. Your head is off by 15 degrees. but I think that could be fixed by just having you getting into foot strike a little quicker. You're moving, pulling your head a little bit toward first base. I think it's more of a strength issue than a mechanics issue. Did you listen to what Jordan did with your knees in the set position? You need to equally distribute your weight and bend both knees. What do you think it was, about an inch or two, Jordan?
Yeah.
And your shoulders are lined up perfectly. And get your booty going as soon as you start to move. You spend just a little too much time over the rubber. You need to get your body going a little faster. But this is good. That energy angle right there is major league. You're breaking your hands. It's nice and relaxed. Jordan really likes a person to break his hands easy. You're doing that very well. Your eyes are level. As you get into foot strike, that's when your head pulls just a little bit toward first base, and that's a strength issue. Okay.
Mhm.
So are you going to get innings this summer? Are you working this summer, or are you all done playing?
I should. I did just get off an injury. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like some sort of shoulder tendonitis.
Okay.
But I don't have a tournament this weekend, but I will next weekend, and I'm pretty sure I should pitch.
Okay, awesome. You need to do towel drill, and you need to do anything you can to get all your body parts going toward home plate. Butt to target, glove to target, eyes to target. Go as fast as you can and let it rip.
Let's go.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good luck.
Sounds good.
Let us know how you guys do in your next tournament.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Jordan, have you noticed that we don't have much to criticize with any of these guys? If we filmed 5 big leaguers, they probably wouldn't be a whole lot better than the kids we're looking at right now. So you're really a tough guy, high standards. You're right. We should try to teach perfect and let the kid adjust from there.
I think that's my biggest learning of coaching, is that if you just treat kids like adults, that it's actually in everyone's favor, that they prefer to be spoken to. They don't really need it to be, they don't need it to be boiled down. If you give it to them, they'll understand it and they'll implement it and they'll remember it.
You're exactly right. And by criticizing honestly and giving them a toolbox to fix it, they almost think it's magic when they fix themselves.
Yeah.
So the ability for a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old to take ownership of what the numbers have been measured and quantified, give them a drill to work on, the towel drill or whatever it might be, and they do it and they get better. It's credibility on both sides of the equation.
It
But you
is.
still have to do the work. And remember when you and I started, we used to say 10,000 repetitions to fix a bad habit. Well, we know now that some people learn faster than others.
Yes.
Some people are going to take 10,000 reps to fix. But if you want to play at the higher level, however many reps your body needs, if you want to play at the higher level, you've got to do those reps. If you're one of those lucky people that, for whatever the reason, the good Lord gave you talent and skill without much work, then you just have to do as much as you can to master the movement. That's what we're after.
It's true. All right. Our next pitcher up here is Zach Bukta.
What a
Zach
great
has
name.
been- great name. Zach's been with us for a while here. Zach, we're pulling you up here.
Okay, what a great facility, number one.
Yeah, this is
So don't let him move yet, and let's just look at his set position.
Yeah.
It looks like big toe to arch is okay. I don't think his knees are bent deep enough. I don't think his shoulders are lined up with his big toes. Hands are in a good place. His eyes are level. I'm going to go out on a limb here without looking at his report card. I'm just going to kind of take a guess that his first movement is going to be back and he's going to drop down before he starts forward. I hope I'm wrong. Let's see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. Okay, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. We've got an athlete here. Now, how much did his head go back? How much did his body move?
All right.
I'll let you use your magic eyes. 2 inches, 3 inches. Well, you've got the magic.
It's tough to get everything here because we're very straight on, but I'll do my best. I mean, it's gonna be
He surprised me on how fast he was able to get it going. All right, how much did he move backwards before he started forward?
2 or 3 inches.
How much did his head drop before he started going forward?
Uh,
Okay, so at the
4
worst,
inches. It did drop. I don't know how many.
maybe 2 inches back and 2 inches down.
Yeah.
So that 4 inches is 8 inches at release point. And if you fix that, if you could work your magic and use your words to explain what's the bend in his right knee right now, and why should that be the bend he has in both knees? You want to use your words, please?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the beauty of this is that Zach has, he's already moving quickly. But what you want to do is facilitate him moving as quickly as he can to home plate, generate as much force as possible, and get going from there. And so what you're looking at here is just a very slight adjustment that any player and any parent really you could do in your front yard, backyard, driveway, where a pitcher, you take them at this position, Tom, and in the Mustard app we call it the energy angle. You take the energy angle, the posture that they're in, their head position, the knee bend, and you just make that their set position, because this is the position they want to be in to move as quickly as they possibly can to home plate. So take this position, the green line here, his knees bent a little bit more. It's tough to see from this angle. His head is a little bit lower. He's probably got a little bit more tilt in his upper body.
Yeah.
And then you would just have him put his front foot down from here, and that would be his ideal set position.
With both legs and the weight distributed equally between both feet. And the reason Jordan could say 2 to 3 inches, what's the only joint in your body that can make your head go north and south? That would be your knees. So if his head is dropping 2 inches before he starts forward, bend the knees 2 inches in his set position. And then when he lifts, he's only going to be going forward. Did that make sense what I just said, Jordan?
Exactly.
So it's an easy fix. This kid's a pretty good athlete. Let's see what happens in the foot strike. Stop him. Good. All right. Now he's a 90 guy. His forearm angle is right at 90 degrees. He had a good leap. I'm going to guess that his stride distance is close to 100% of his body height. But his left shoulder and his left hip kind of went together, which means he didn't store any torque at all. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, that if he would close his shoulders off to meet his big toes in the stretch position, it might allow him to keep the shoulders closed a little longer. Would you agree also that his glove has given up distance? It's spinning outside his body and dropping a little bit as he's squaring up. The bottom half looks really good. That's a major league bottom half. Had a great leap. If he has his report card, he'll probably be close to 100% of his body height. But the tilt that he has in his shoulder, we call it getting heady.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you had issues with when you were this age. When your head gets in front of your center of gravity or in front of your torso, your head is going to go down and to your left if you're a right-handed pitcher, down and to your right if you're a left-handed pitcher. And that's what your shoulders are trying to rotate around to deliver the ball. Now, I don't know if we only have side view or whether we're going to have a front view also. But right now, his left shoulder, his left arm, and his glove are outside the width of his body, heading toward first base. And his head is leaning slightly forward of his center of gravity, which means his release point, he's going to run from the ball as he's letting it go. His release point will be closer to over right over his head rather than out in front of his landing leg big toe. Let's see what happens. He's trying to hang on. Oh, it's so close. Okay, stop it right there. Now you have your bottom half did a great job. But if we have a front view, I don't know if we do. Your head is outside your left leg. Your forearm and glove is outside your left leg. I really like what you did with your landing leg knee. And you kind of see how it's popping straight at release point. Don't let anybody take that away from you. That means that you're going to throw hard one of these days. Your glove is actually in the right place, but it's outside. It should be inside the width of your body. You didn't lose distance with your glove. You had misdirected glove. And that means you have too many things going toward first base that should be going directly toward home plate. But your back foot is on the ground at release point. Your eyes are level, even though your head is outside the width of your body. You would be a candidate now. I don't know if you've heard us say this. You might think, until you get a little stronger, you might think about throwing sidearm. Tell me what that means, Jordan.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily throwing sidearm, it's thinking sidearm. And
Thank
so, you know, for a lot of players, they're told to get on top of the ball to get angle. And what it leads to is really their head and front side pulling towards the first base side if you're a righty, third base side if you're a lefty. And if you cue a pitcher to think sidearm, it will typically straighten out their spine and allow them to be more rotational, leading to a better release point at this point. But I mean, I've seen Zach. Zach, we don't have your front view here. I've seen his mechanics over time. I mean, he has a great front view.
Yeah. And again, it's just a trick. We're not telling you to throw sidearm. But if you think sidearm, it's going to keep your head on the front side of your body and allow, as you square up to throw, allow all your stuff to stay directional and not over-rotate toward the first base dugout. You do a lot of things right. Who is your pitching coach?
Usually you, and then my parents usually just like help me out by recording and looking at my stuff with me.
Okay, so you've heard this from me and Jordan and watching these things, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you now?
I'm 12. I'm turning 13 in July.
Yeah, and right now, most of your issues are strength related. You're a good athlete and your arm works. Just level your shoulders out. Try to keep everything inside the width of your body as you get into landing and squaring up. And GFF. Do you know how far do you measure your stride in your feet, or do you know how far you stride in the Mustard app?
Usually it's about like 6 or 7 of my feet.
Yeah, and that shows. My eyes tell me you're about 6.5 of your feet, which is really good. And as long as you're getting there, yeah, and you're 1.03 seconds, you're fine. The timing of your delivery, which is the first thing we look at, just keep doing that the rest of your life. Keep your basically in the set position, bend your knees a little bit, just like what Jordan was measuring with the green lines. Make sure your set position kind of overemphasizes, and then think sidearm and watch what happens. Drills for you that will really help. I don't know if you still do them, but the towel to target is a really good drill for you. Because if your head is leaking to the left, you're always going to miss target with a towel. You're always going to miss it to the left. Did that make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, see the stride, Jordan. I told you it's going to be 100% of body weight or body. So that's good. Posture, okay. Lift and thrust, energy angle 14 degrees. You got to get, again, if you bend your knees, you'll get that energy angle. And then we talked about torque retention, the fact your left shoulder and your left hip go too soon. So if you close in the stretch position, if you closed your shoulders off to match up with your big toe to arch, your big toes there, that will give you the right. Now you find it. See where your shoulders are right now. They're closed a little bit, but it's too late in the sequence. You've already initiated what's going to be head in front of your center of gravity. And right now your vectors are aiming more to the left of home plate than they need to be aimed at. But overall, just stay with your drills. Towel drill would probably be the most efficient drill for you to do. won't take anything out of your arm, and you should be able to fix the movements we just told you about at probably 150 to 200 reps if they're perfect reps. Jordan, do you have anything else?
I think that there was a question here from Rich Marita of there were two great questions here, I think, that are relevant here to Zach. Rich, please be sure to yell at me in the chat if they're not about Zach. One is the front leg lock a signature or should it be taught? I think this is a great question that is asked so many
That's
times.
a good question because it happens naturally with some kids. If you try to teach it, it goes all the way back when we knew that the scapular, both shoulder blades would pinch sometime during the delivery. And people spent 2 to 3 years trying to teach scapular retraction during the delivery. And you can never get the timing right. It's something that happens. There are biomechanical inevitabilities and biomechanical imperatives. Teach the imperative, let the inevitable happen. The fact that Zach can straighten that knee at release point, it's God-given. It's something that just don't let anybody take it away from. What that does, it literally translates energy quicker up into the throwing motion than somebody that has a bent knee. They both work as long as the knee is stable at release point. So guys that stick in my head right now, look at Verlander's front knee at release point. I've seen it. I'm getting old, so I don't remember names really well. But I hope I answered that question. Don't try to teach it, but when it happens, don't take it away.
And then Rich asked one more question about to level his shoulders. Does he have to exaggerate a shoulder tilt backwards as he is striding? Because we were saying he's getting heady.
Yeah. What I would do is in the stretch position, make sure his shoulders matched up with his big toes. And if he just thinks about throwing sidearm, that'll take care of it.
All right. Rich, don't apologize for the questions. Please keep them coming. These are all great. So thank you.
The only bad question is the one that you don't ask.
Exactly. So he sent me an apology and the questions are great. The reason we want an audience and we are broadcasting this far and wide is because we want to answer questions. We want people to engage with this type of stuff.
And I'm gonna give another little kudo here. The fact that he mentioned signature.
Yeah.
Signature is what a kid brings to the mound when he's working with you. And every pitcher looks different doing the same thing. You don't want to take away his signature. So again, if you look at his report card and what we just talked about, if he thinks about throwing sidearm, that will compensate for his core isn't as strong as it will be. And he'll be able to keep his torque retention if he lines his shoulders up with his big toes in the original set position. Okay?
Yep.
Good job.
Thanks so much, Zach.
Thank you. Let's see.
What are you laughing at?
Hold on. I had to send him back to the audience. Okay, we have two more here. Tom, as I pull this next one up, I have a question from Charlie from our Discord.
Okay.
Can you ask Tom what functional strength and weight training he does for his QBs to increase overall power?
Okay. So if you followed Mustard for the last couple of years or been around Jordan and me for any length of time, you're only as strong as your weakest leg. And we know from our testing that 80% of velocity, whether it's a football or a baseball, 80% of velocity comes from your torque in your torso. In other words, if you can throw 80 miles an hour on your knees with a baseball, you should be able to throw 100 miles an hour on your feet. If it doesn't, that tells you you've got core strength issues. And obviously there's a number of different ways you can do core strength. You can swing a heavy and a light bat, right-handed and left-handed, to where you have to accelerate and decelerate from both sides. And you do heavy bat and or light bat or both. You can do crunches. There's a number of different things you can do where you're moving on the ground. You can do planks. Building core strength can be done at any age. It's probably ignored more than it should be. But if you want to have fun doing it, probably swinging the heavy and light bat, right-handed and left-handed, and looking at the velos that you generate right-handed and left-handed. If they can be within 5% of each other, then you know that your core strength is functional. You'll never have oblique issues, which is an injury you see all over baseball now. And if it's a quarterback, you can't be too strong in your core. So don't be afraid to push it.
Beautiful. All right, our last pitching video
Okay.
is here. This is Franco Alpha, which I think is his username from Discord. And here is the video.
Okay, so we've got a screen in front of us, which is okay.
We got a screen, and then we have okay, that's all. This is what we got from this one. Well, let's run it through.
Okay, let's watch the whole thing. Okay, this is a fun one. We've got what I call a roper here. Why would I call this a roper, Jordan? Watch his arm action.
He's trying to get clear of his head.
Okay, hold it right there. Now, if he was trying to rope a calf, this would be perfect. Now, it's not, you don't see this very often in baseball unless his front side's doing the same thing. Now, I can't quite tell, but I think his front side is a normal front side. But he's really reaching high with his throwing arm, and it's okay. Whether this is a signature or something that he's been taught, what he has to do is match up the timing of where that throwing arm is with the rest of his body. Normally, kids that throw like this, their front side leaves way too soon. Now, I hope I'm wrong. Let's see what happens. All right, I wasn't wrong. I feel really bad. So can you kind of see what his head is doing?
Yeah, the quality is a little low here, but what's happening is everything is essentially rotating at the exact same time. There's no dissociation.
You're exactly right. And the reason is because while reaching really high with the ball and his throwing arm, the rest of his body is ready to throw before his throwing arm is. And if you can take it back to when it's laying back in external rotation, his throwing arm finds a perfect position pre-launch, but the rest of his body has already, it literally thinks the ball's been thrown already. That's why everything is falling toward first base.
Yeah.
So the fix here, can you take him back to the beginning? Okay, it's hard to see, but it looks like he's throwing from the windup.
Yeah.
And there's no reason. Now, you could throw from the windup if you want to, but we learned this 25 years ago with Bobby Valentine. Why have two deliveries when you don't lose anything stuff-wise from the set position? And in baseball, you make most of your most critical pitches from the stretch, not from the windup. So if he just went to our set position, same thing we've been talking to all the kids previous to this, big toe to arch with your feet armpit width. Your knees are going to be bent equally with weight on both legs equally. You're going to line your shoulders up with your big toes. Your eyes going to be level with your head. Your hands are going to be comfortably in front of between your belly button and your chin, right in the middle of your body.
Mhm.
Now, when you come out, now he tries. Now see how his glove is trying.
Yeah.
It was high enough it just wasn't high enough, long enough.
Yeah.
So you see, it's hard to see, but can you circle his glove for him right there?
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
So his brain knows that the front side has to be a little higher, but he didn't keep it there. He could do that arm action is his signature, but he's got to keep the glove up in that red circle until the shoulders start delivering the ball. If it leaves too soon, and it's going to pull everything in his body toward first base, the shoulders go, the head goes, and he's going to run from the baseball at release point. If you could find release point and we could look at his head, he's got probably 35% of his body going toward first base when the ball is trying to go toward home plate. That's a bad elbow or a bad shoulder. The bottom half actually looks pretty good, but the upper body, because of timing more than anything else, it looks like his mechanics suck. It's not mechanics, it's timing and his inability to keep his glove higher longer. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Jordan?
Yeah, I think that two things I already that I always liked that you would say to me is, and they're the same saying, just phrased differently. The more body you have, the more body you have to mess up. So as you grow, you have more things that can go wrong just as you grow. And then the faster you go, the less time you have to mess up.
Say that again and tell them what our words are, GFF. Say that again.
So Tom will often say GFF, go freaking fast, or go forward fast, or go fast forward. And I think it's a great saying, but I always loved the explainer of the faster you go, the less time that you have to mess up. And especially like what we're talking about here, where you're a roper, you have these signatures that are unique to you, but that probably at your most efficient, they will look much different. And so if you can start speeding up the process by bending your knees more, moving to the plate faster, that's going to give your body less time to get out of position, and your body will most likely subconsciously find those efficient positions and efficient movements a lot faster.
Well said. That's very good. I'm going to bet that this young man, when he gets stiff and sore, it's going to be on the front side of his elbow and the front side of his shoulder. That's just a guess.
It feels right to me. We have one more video. We have a med ball analysis here,
Okay.
Tom. This is and then we'll get to questions, but I thought that this would be a fun one here. We had med ball throw feedback from, I actually don't know what the name of the user is, but you know what? We don't need the name. We just need the video.
Sounds good.
All right, it's 2 videos here.
All right. Hey, it's a good drill. I'm guessing that's probably a 10-pound med ball. If he could slam it on the ground and keep his eyes up, I'd leave him alone. But what's he doing? What's he doing with his eyes as he slams it into the ground?
He's looking down from that moment.
All right. That means he's going to lose all his stack and trap. The idea behind the med ball is to challenge nerves, muscle, and connective tissue with a weight that is way heavier than anything he's actually going to be able to throw off the mound. So he's got to duplicate cross-specifically the same movements he does with a baseball. Now I'm going to give him how he lands. I'm going to give him both elbows up, both hands are up. But if he's looking for pennies when he should be looking for dollars at home plate, if he could do the same exact exercise and keep his head up the whole time, then he's going to add in his low back hyperextension, flexion. So you're getting nothing out of your low back right now. As your head's looking down, your head is in front of your center of gravity. The med ball is only working arms and legs at this time. It's not working torso. If your eyes were up and behind your CG, then when you went to throw it, you'd throw it with your shoulders perpendicular to home plate, and you use your whole core, your low back and your upper back. It would go from hyperextension to flexion, and that would be very similar to stack and trap. So I love the med balls, but you have to do the same movements that you do when you pitch.
Yeah, and cutting out, especially like this where he's just standing there.
It could be if he keep his eyes level, no, the minute his eyes start looking down, drill breaks down.
Does that make sense? All right, you ready for, I think we got a couple questions and then we're gonna wrap.
Sure, fire away.
All right. Okay. As you know, this is from Rich Morita. Rich is just hitting us with the best questions. Rich asks, as you know, pregame warm-up time is limited at times. What do you believe are must-dos from block 1 through 3 when time is limited? I use a combo of all 3 blocks, but I wonder what you would recommend when you are in a crunch for time.
You back up from when your kids have to be ready for game time. And with the time you have to loosen up, to warm up, to loosen up, to do your activity, if you haven't got time to do all the drills in blocks 1, 2, and 3, you cherry pick one from each. Or if the kid really likes a particular drill and he believes that it wakes him up, like a lot of the kids like the speed towel. So that's one we use. The karaoke, the fast karaoke, guys like that. So you don't have to do everything every day. You don't have to do everything if you've only got 20 minutes to do it. You cherry pick the ones that give you the most bang for the time you have available. You have to do something, just don't do nothing. I hope that helps.
Perfect. And then last one, when you showed the app, I saw workouts with actual weights. I don't see that in my son's improvement plan. I see the block, but that's all. Where can I find the weight-based workouts? Rich, I think that we just put that feature in today. So please go give it a look once that you have updated, and please get back to us to get to that page. So just
can I throw a qualifier in there?
Yeah.
If they're pre-adolescent, if testosterone hasn't showed up, you just use the weight you compete with, which is a baseball and a glove, and your own body weight. As testosterone shows up and you spend a little time in the weight room, it translates to the field. Like Drew Brees, for example, did all his block 1, 2, 3, and 4 with 5-pound dumbbells. And that is really hard to do. So you don't want to go heavy with the exercises, but a little resistance is fine. And remember, you can get resistance from cords and grips, from the vector cords. There's all kinds of ways to challenge and build strength and endurance without having to be too heavy.
Beautiful. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining In the Kitchen tonight with Mustard. Tom, thank you so much as always. It is a pleasure to get to learn from you, chat with you, see you in action. So thank you for your time. We'll see you all again very soon. Thank you to everybody who joined, sent videos in, sent questions in, watched across Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we hope you all have a great night and a great week.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Sounds good, Tom.
Bye-bye.